Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us today. I am joined here with Lewis from Saledock, and we are going to be focused on how retailers can save time and sell more with an all-in-one integrated system. So before we jump in, we do have a lot to cover today, but before we jump in, quick housekeeping. This session is being recorded, so all registered attendees will receive the recorded link shortly after the live session. And we will also be answering questions. So feel free to ask any questions that come up all throughout the session. There is a question pane in the right side of the GoToWebinar, and you can type any questions in there. We encourage you to. And at the end of the session, we'll save 10 or 15 minutes to go through any questions that you may have. So with that, let's jump in. And so we'll do some quick introductions first. We have a mix of retailers on here today. Some of you are current Saledock customers, and many of you are not. So Lewis, you want to introduce yourself first?
Of course I can. Thanks, Michelle. Hi, everyone. My name is Lewis Christian. I head up business development here at Saledock, based up in Manchester. I've been with the team now for just short of 2 years. All of my professional career has been spent in business development for software companies. The last 6 or so years have been purely in retail tech, working with small independents all the way up to enterprise retailers operating globally across different sectors. So as you can imagine with that, I've seen the good, definitely seen the bad, and I've 100% seen the ugly when it comes to retail tech. So I've got a pretty clear view of what's working and what's not. So today's session, hopefully, is going to be very much about exploring that honestly with you, rather than just telling you why you should be using an all-in-one system. We'll look at the pros and the cons of both approaches, so you can really decide what makes sense for your business.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Lewis. And my name is Michelle Salerno. I am the Chief Growth Officer here at Celerant Technology. And I've been with our company at Celerant now for about 20 years. My background is in marketing and sales and strategic partnerships. And I bring 20 years of experience with retail technology and specifically marketing, which is why I always love hosting these educational sessions, because inventory is most important to retailers, but I think a close second is marketing. So helping retailers really embrace technology and learn how to work smarter, not harder, using technology and new ways to market your business is really what it's all about. So we love hosting these sessions. It's all about education. I say it all the time. If you take one or two little nuggets away from this live session to help your business, it is well worth the 45 minutes.
Okay, yeah, Saledock, wasn't your typical software company story really, as from where it started. The business started when a friend of our founders asked them to build a piece of middleware between their existing point of sale and their e-commerce platform, because stock wasn't matching up, orders were getting missed, and keeping everything up to date was just eating into their time. So instead of trying to patch things together, our founders, Lee and Layla, who you can see there, they went one step further, and they built Saledock as a completely unified retail platform, which connects everything seamlessly under one roof, and it seemed to work. So word spread, and more retailers came on board, all facing very similar challenges. We fast forward to today, and Saledock is supporting hundreds of UK retailers, from again small independents to your large multi-store chains across a wide range of sectors. Along the way, we've picked up plenty of awards, as you can see here, but the real recognition for myself and for us was when BIRA asked us to partner with them as their recommended solution for British independents, which is, of course, why we're here today, to hopefully give you some insight into how an all-in-one platform can truly help you with a lot of the challenges retailers are facing in this day and age.
Awesome. Alrighty, and for those of you who are not familiar with Celerant, we've been in the industry for 25 years. We are based in the United States. I work out of our main office, which is actually in New Jersey, and we have about 240 team members. We have 8 offices in the US and internationally, and we have partnered and merged with Saledock, and we are so excited about this new partnership. And it's been an absolute pleasure working with Layla and Lee and Lewis and the whole team there. And so what I'm really excited about is we're bringing our 25 years of technology expertise and advanced retail functionality, and we're merging it with Saledock's newer platform and really cloud-based modern technology, and we're going to blend those two together and have a really, really fantastic retail system and enhance both of our systems moving forward. So at Celerant, though, we have about 2,500 retailers using our software, and that crosses all different retail markets, from sporting goods to apparel and footwear to furniture to home goods, pet shops, you name it. We've got retailers in that space here in the US. And so in working with Lewis and the Saledock team, we're going to not only bring this newer technology here in the US, but also in the UK as well. And we're really excited for what's to come in the coming years. So we're going to kick it off asking a poll question. I always love asking poll questions just to kind of see where everybody's at. Lewis and I both have a plan on what we're going to speak about, but considering how everybody on this call answers this question, we may shift our agenda based on who's on the session. So let me read the question and then I'll flip up the poll in just a minute. Question is, how many retail systems do you currently use? Only one, whether it's point of sale in your store or e-commerce, not both, just one. Or do you use two systems? Maybe you have point of sale in your store and you're using e-commerce, which I'm assuming is probably where most everybody sits. Do you have three systems where it's ePOS in your store, e-commerce, and a CRM? Maybe four different systems, ePOS, e-commerce, CRM, and an ERP? Or are you an absolute rock star and already using one unified system? So let me flip up this poll. Give me 1 second here. And okay, I just launched it. So you all should see the poll question. So go ahead and select whichever makes the most sense for your business. Are you just using one system, multiple systems, or are you using a unified system? All righty. So go ahead and Lewis, you see that poll question, right? There we go. Okay, we have responses coming in now. It took a minute. Okay, good. Lots of answers are coming through. We already have 57% who have voted. So if you're out there on this live session, just go ahead and select the answer that makes the most sense. And this is interesting. Yes. All right, we're at 75%. So I'm going to go ahead for the sake of time and close this poll. And I'm going to share it. And Lewis, talk us through here. What do we got? We got a mix here.
We've got a nice mix. Yeah, we have. We've got less than a thought just using point of sale or e-commerce. So we've got the majority, just under half, combined with two separate point of sale and e-commerce systems. We've got 20% that also have a separate CRM, and then 20% that are actually using a unified system at the moment, which is always good to hear.
Yeah, kudos to you all. Good. All right. So yeah, I mean, a good number are using multiple systems, and even 20% who just have one. So let me hide this. All righty. So good. So that means we have a mixed bag here, which is good. So let's first jump in and let's talk about really how the market is changing and how retail is really being redefined. What you have done all these years, you're going to have to change with the times. The pandemic, as much as I hate to even still say that word, the pandemic has literally changed the retail industry, and it has changed the way people shop. So the first one here is really, in my opinion, one of the most important factors here, the expectations of your customers. They want you to be everywhere, and they want to be able to shop from wherever they are. They want you to meet them where they are. So whether that means in their store, via e-commerce. They want to buy online, pick up in store. If it's maybe even a mobile app or online marketplaces or wherever they are, that's where you need to be. And you have to really have a technology platform to be able to meet them where they are and be able to serve their needs. These days, customers are, even driving and at a red light, they're buying something on the website and they want to go and drive to your store and pick it up in store. And in order to be able to meet those needs, you have to have a technology platform that will facilitate it. So having a unified system where everything is connected in real time across all channels is what really becomes important, so that you can do buy online, pick up in store, so that you're not overselling. What frustrates a customer more than buying something online, not realizing that your store is out of stock and then having to cancel the order? From a customer's perspective, getting that email, having to cancel that order, there's literally nothing more frustrating. So being able to have a unified system where your inventory is in sync is what eliminates that and ensures that your inventory levels are on point through all your channels, so that you're not having to cancel orders and oversell. The next one is rising competition. So whether it's big box, whether it's big merchants coming in and really, taking over your local community, or if it's in the online world and it's giants like Amazon or these big online merchants who are coming in. Here in the States, our pet shops experience this. Our sporting goods merchants, our independent retailers are experiencing this because these big box merchants are coming in and they have unlimited budgets. And they have access to some of the most innovative technology. And what I'll say are at Celerant, not for the shameless plug here, but what our biggest advantage has always been is providing independently owned smaller merchants with the technology that was once only available to tier 1 retailers, to the big box merchants. It's about having the technology to be able to compete and operate your business in the same way that these huge merchants are doing, so that you can be competitive at a much more cost-effective price. The third one is digital complexity. So this is really at the crux of today's session, because when we talk about all these different sales channels, right, we talk about being online, being in store, potentially having a mobile app, online marketplaces. If all these systems and all these channels are disconnected, that becomes really complex. It becomes complex for your customers, and it also becomes complex for your staff, because they're trying to manage all these disconnected systems and manage the inventory even being disconnected. So everything is siloed, and there ends up being so many workarounds and frankly, just so much time wasted. And when you're using a connected system, not only are you providing a unified experience to your consumers, but you're also saving a ton of time for your own staff. Because when you're updating a product, you're updating it in one place, and it then updates it in your store, or if you have multiple stores, it'll update it on your website, and you don't have to update everything in multiple places because you're using one connected system. We're not going to talk too much about it in this session, digital marketing. That I'm sure will be a future session that I can't wait to host with Lewis. But when we talk about email marketing and push notifications and all these different ways to market to your customers, the days of just traditionally sending out mass emails to all your customers, those days are over, and you're not going to break through the noise. You're not going to make an impact. So that all goes hand in hand with digital complexity, and it all stems back to the technology platform that you're using. Being able to export and create segments based on different customers in your CRM, and being able to then market to them in an automated way with things like abandoned cart emails and just all these different things that become available when you're using the right technology stack. And the fourth one, economic struggles. I mean, clearly, it's just been another challenging year. You know, there's so much uncertainty.
Yes.
And there's a term that I heard a year or so ago that kind of stuck with me called crisis fatigue, right? After the pandemic, it's just one thing after the next, and it just feels like we can't seem to come out of all of this. And that term crisis fatigue really sort of resonated with me. But through all of it, whether it's tariffs or whatever it is that everybody's dealing with in your local communities, it's rising costs, it's wages, it's inflation, it's customers tightening their budget. What we're seeing is a lot of retailers are sort of just frozen, and a lot of the market just seems to be frozen because there's so much uncertainty. So what I really recommend during this time is it's the perfect time to sort of reset your business and get the right technology stack in place, because we will come out of all of this, and when we do, your store is going to be in such a better place and well prepared for when the economy does take a turn. If you get your business under control with the right tech stack now, you're going to be that much more successful now, and of course moving into the future. So Lewis, what are you seeing? I'm here in the U.S. across the pond, we shall say, but what are you seeing in the U.K. as far as economic struggles and how using a new tech stack could help really enhance their business?
I mean, economic struggles, we're still in a cost of living crisis over here in the UK. So shaving some costs off the business one way or another is obviously a huge one. From using a unified platform or from not, there's a lot of challenges that we're typically seeing. I think if you want to go through to the next slide, Michelle, I think we've actually got some of them on there.
Sure. Yep.
So from speaking with retailers daily, the challenges here really do reflect how retail and how customer expectations are really evolving. The biggest one that you tend to see is the inconsistency between systems. So you've got things like prices, product details, stock counts that just aren't matching up. And you might have experienced them themselves as a retailer. So, for example, you go on a website, you've got 3 of a product in stock, but in reality, you're actually out of stock. It might seem like a really small inconvenience, but what it's doing is it's instantly putting the customer in a really difficult position. It's damaging trust, and in some way, it might even kill the sale and hurt the reputation of the business. You then come to click and collect, which is a major pain point. Buying behavior has shifted massively over the past couple of years, which we're all aware of. Customers are expecting to be able to go online and do a click and collect in store same day, if not the day after, without even thinking twice about it. And when it's not available or when it's not working correctly, what are they going to do? They're either going to go to the nearest competitor that is offering it, or even worse, like you've already mentioned, Michelle, they're going to go to Amazon. And that's the last thing we want, because they'll know they can get it next day on Prime. And that is a massive hit for independent retail, because again, they're going back to these larger chains, and we want to keep the business back in the independent. That's the main aim. Loyalty and rewards. There's a big disconnect, especially if we're using independent systems. We all love earning points to spend after a purchase, me more than anyone. And it's a brilliant tool to really encourage repeat business. The problem is customers aren't always buying from the same place every time. So if they've earned points online and then they come into the store, you can see it now. They come into the store, they put the goods on the desk, really happy. They get the points out and say, oh, can I use these, please? And then the cashier says, no, sorry, you're not allowed. You can only use them online. It's a major slap in the face for someone who's actually trying to buy from you and to keep giving you business. So we really need to get a handle on that.
Or even the reverse, right? Where they're in your store, you've got a loyalty program. Great that you have a loyalty program. I recommend everybody should have a loyalty program. But if you have it available in the store, but then when they go home and they shop on your website, they can't accrue or redeem their points or log in and see how many points they have, or what discounts they have, or how far are they away from a promotion. If they don't have that visibility, it's really going to be frustrating as a consumer.
100%. And those three that we mentioned there are very much around customer experience, customer expectations. The last one is really around reporting. It's a massive headache. I spoke to a shop only yesterday, and they were pulling both their daily and end of month figures from 3 different systems just to get a basic view of performance, of finance. And what it's doing is it's killing productivity for shops that are wanting to scale and reinvest their time back into the business. So that's a major one for a lot of shops now. So I was just curious, out of these 5 here, if you can in the chat. Oh, if we just go back one, sorry, Michelle.
Oh, sure, yeah, sorry.
Just see if we can get some responses in the chat. Out of these 5, if any of those are resonating with you at the moment, type 1 if you've got 1 challenge. If it's 5, do 5, and obviously anywhere in between. And we'll see if they're resonating with the retailers that we're speaking to.
Yeah, we love to know, on the live session where everybody's at. So in the GoToWebinar pane, there's a little chat section, or there's even a question section, whichever one's easier. Put a number 1, 2, 3, or 5. Let's see where everybody's struggling.
It's not the easiest to find that little chat
Right,
function.
it's over on the right side there, yeah. All right, we have a number 4, rewards.
Wow.
We've got a couple of number 1s.
Yeah.
Which is, of course, why you're here, right? Well, keep entering in your selections there, and we will keep this moving, and we'll come back to that before we wrap it up. All right, so next we have another poll question here. So I will put it up in just a second. Let me read through it first. How many channels do you sell through? So the first question was, how many different systems are you using? This question's a little bit different, and here we really want to look at your sales channels. So is it just one, a physical store, or just e-commerce? 2 channels, a physical store and e-commerce. 3 channels, store, e-commerce, and marketplaces. And by marketplaces, that means online marketplaces like Amazon, or any of the other marketplaces for your vertical. And then 4+ channels. Maybe you have brick and mortar, maybe you've got a website, maybe you're on marketplaces, and maybe you're doing offsite events or anything else. So let me pop this poll up. Okay, I just launched it. So Lewis, tell me if you can see that.
Yep, got it here.
Great. Okay, so go ahead, and for all of you on the live session, just select which makes the most sense for your business here. How many sales channels are you selling on? All righty.
I'm
Oh,
wondering
wow.
how many people are still selling through marketplaces with the increased fees that you're seeing nowadays for selling through places like eBay and Amazon.
Yeah, it's funny because I always tell this story. One of our retailers here, BC Surf and Sports, they did not want to sell on Amazon for a very long time. And then when they finally decided to sell on Amazon and use the integration, and through the integration, you can push on-hand inventory and keep it synced. You can post your listings, you can pull back orders, full integration. And very quickly, it's become one of their biggest sources of revenue.
Really?
So yeah, even with those fees. Okay, we're at 60%. So go ahead and select if you are going to participate, and I'm going to close it. Interesting. Okay, I'm going to close it and share it. And Lewis, why don't you read off what we got here?
Okay, so another mix. We've got 25% who are just a physical store or e-commerce. None that are selling through a physical store and e-com.
Wow, that's actually surprising.
It's very surprising.
Yeah.
3 channels, which includes marketplace. We've got half of the participants that are actually still selling through marketplace, which is very interesting.
Yeah, 3 channels.
And then we've got 25% who are selling through 3 channels and more. So that could possibly be events. It could be anything else.
So I will say this, for the 25% who have one channel, I really, really encourage you to, if it's just a store, launch that e-commerce site. There is a tremendous amount of revenue that your business is missing out on by not having that website. And even if you just have it, if you don't want to have a website to go into the online world, to be competitive online, even if it's just for the purpose of supporting your local business, right? Your local store, get that website launched and have it be there for your customers. Because then when you send out emails, you can link it back to your website and you can just support your customers 24/7. So I really, really recommend getting that website. All right, let
Definitely.
me hide that and we will take it back to our discussion here. Okay, so when you're looking at retail software, and when you're looking at making a change to your retail software, there's typically two approaches that you can choose from. There's what is called the best of breeds and the all-in-one. So I'm just going to pull both of those up so you guys can sort of see that while I'm talking. So the best of breeds approach basically means you want what you feel is the best point of sale system or the best inventory system for your store, and then you want the best e-commerce, for example. And then you take those two disparate systems and you either build a custom integration to connect them, or maybe there's an out-of-the-box, I'll use that term loosely, maybe there's an integration that's available that will connect those two disparate systems. That's what's called best of breed. Typically, that ends up being a more expensive approach because you're doing the best of breed and then you're actually paying to have those two systems connected. What also ends up happening though is the connection or the integration is not always, it's not going to be real time. It's inevitable to have data discrepancies. And Lewis, what you were talking about before, where your website may not know that your store only has one back in stock and someone on the site purchases 5, you're going to have an aggravated customer, right? If you don't have that seamless connection between your store and your website, that's where those discrepancies occur. And typically, when you've got disconnected systems or multiple systems, you also have multiple vendors. So when you have multiple vendors, what happens when something breaks or something isn't working properly? You call one vendor, right, Lewis? And what do they say?
They'll say it's not our fault, it's the other person's fault.
It's not
And
our
then
fault.
you'll call them and then they'll say it's not our fault, it's their fault.
Right. And so you as the retailer just end up being like the monkey in the middle, if you ever played that game, where your head is spinning and you're calling this vendor and that vendor and everyone's blaming each other. And at the end of the day, it ends up leading to frustration, time wasted, and revenue, because it's just a waste of your time and energy, which could be spent doing other things. Now, that said, I just talked a lot about the negatives. The positives are like the name is best of breed, right? So the theory there is you're choosing the best point of sale, the best e-commerce, which also might be quite pricey because you're going for, the best of the breed, and then we're trying to connect it together. So all-in-one is another term, and that's the second option really, and that's where you choose a software vendor that really can, I hate to say do it all, but really can be your one-stop shop and can provide that all-in-one system. So it tends to be a more cohesive platform. It is typically a natively one database. It's one system. So whether it's your store or your e-commerce or whatever your other channels are that you're selling on, it's all connected in one system natively. So everything's connected in real time because it's not even really connected, it's just one. So it's a single database. So once the inventory is sold in one channel, it's immediately reflected in all. And on the flip side, once you make a change to a product, it's going to reflect instantly on all channels because it's a centralized system. And then with a centralized system and an all-in-one product, you're working with one technology partner. So if something breaks, which unfortunately is inevitable with point of sale and retail software, it's not always perfect as much as we wish it was. You need to have a trustworthy vendor to call, and if you can have one vendor to call, it eliminates any of that blame game and just making you really be that monkey in the middle, because there's one provider to call when you need help just to get it fixed. So which is right for your business? So there's no right or wrong answer. It's really what you feel is best for your business. We over the years have worked with a lot of retailers who do have the best of breeds, and we have built integrations to different e-commerce platforms. The majority, though, of our customers and the majority, if not all, of our Saledock customers are using that all-in-one platform and really seeing the benefit of that. It tends to be more cost effective. It's lower upfront fees because, again, it's one vendor and you're not paying or dedicating resources to integrating all these disparate systems, because with all of that comes a cost and also comes time. So an all-in-one system also has a faster implementation. You can go live faster, and it tends to just be an easier lift for your team and for your technology partners, because it's all one as opposed to all these disparate systems. We already mentioned the centralized data and the centralized database. So you have consistent data across all your channels. For me, I think the most important thing, though, is having that single technology provider and that one person to call, because as a small independently owned retailer, you're busy. And you're busy running your store and serving your customers. You don't have the time to be chasing technology vendors and trying to be the middleman in between, or middlewoman in between these two providers or three providers. So some stats here. So 89% of retailers struggle with system integrations. There was another stat I took off here, but it was another really high percentage, which talked about delays. How many implementations are significantly delayed because of all of the different the facets of integrating systems. And then 2.5 times retailers are finishing projects on time. 2.5 times more retailers are finishing projects on time using an integrated system. So just sort of supports everything that we are saying. So Louis, let's talk about the benefits and focus more on what the retailers will gain when everything's connected.
Yeah. So when you're connecting everything, you've got your store, your website, your stock, your customers. The gains are huge, and they're very, very quick to take place as well. And it's not just about fixing the problems that we've just talked about previously. It's about freeing up your time, giving your customers a much more consistent experience. And for yourselves as a business owner, it's having one clear view of the entire business holistically. So one of the main aims, or should I say one of the main gains, is you're only having to update something once, and it updates seamlessly across the board. So whether that's adding a new product, it's changing a price, or running a promotion, that change that typically you'd have to make in lots of different places is going to flow to your store, your website, and even your marketplaces instantly. So what that's doing is it's building consistency, and that consistency is building trust with your customers. So that's a huge one. You then look at your loyalty schemes. So that Michelle and I spoke about earlier, you redeem points in store and you can't use them online or vice versa. When schemes are working through an all-in-one platform, they can be earned and redeemed through whatever channel. And what that's doing is it's making it much easier for customers to keep coming back and keep spending. And when rewards are working everywhere, they're far more likely to actually get used and actually get spent, which is getting people back through the door. Another one is if we're having all of our orders coming into one system, it just makes everything much more seamless. You might have click and collect, you might have your deliveries, your in-store orders, and when everything's collected, like you said, Michelle, you're avoiding delays, you're avoiding missed sales and potentially the headache of systems not actually talking to each other. And then the last one is you can see an accurate real-time report without having to pull from lots of different places. Like I mentioned, the retailer I spoke to earlier, having to pull from 3 or 4 different places just to get an overview of the business. What we have with one platform that is running the entire business is one version of the truth. So you know exactly what's going on in the business. You can make decisions much more quickly, and you're not having to wait for all these different sources of data to be muddled together to try and get a better understanding of it. So when it's all connected, you can spend much less time firefighting and more time focusing on customers and actually growing the business.
And I want to hit on one thing there, fulfill orders faster, because we didn't talk much about order fulfillment. But when you can pick, pack, and ship all in one step, and you can print your shipping labels right within your retail software platform, you can get those orders out the door so much faster. Whether it's orders coming in from your website or orders coming in from those online marketplaces, you can get them out the door with literally just a couple of clicks and all within your system, not even having to go anywhere else to print those labels and the packing.
Exactly. I mean, the last thing anybody wants is having to go down to the local post office and wait in a queue for 20 minutes, get 40 labels printed and then get things shipped out. If you can have it natively built into your system where it's generating shipping labels for you at the point of fulfillment, perfect. All we have to do is stick them on and take them down to the post office and drop them off. So much simpler.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, we've got Leli Cycles up here as a bit of an example. So we originally spoke with Ben, I think it was over 12 months ago now, and he was running a best of breeds setup. He had a good EPOS system, a good e-commerce system in place, really well-known, trusted platforms that have been in the industry for years. So it's no surprise he was using them. On paper, they should have done the job, but in reality, they were just making things a hell of a lot slower than they needed to be. And the cracks were really starting to show. He was wasting so many hours every single week just trying to juggle different systems and keep them up to date. He was paying for 3 different platforms. With each of those, the costs were continuously rising, and he wasn't getting any real improvement from the integration or anything along those lines. And like you said earlier, Michelle, this is a perfect use case. He was juggling multiple support teams. And when things were breaking, he had no sense of where it was breaking down. And he was going to each of these different platforms saying, is it you? No, it's not us. Is it you? No, it's not us. So you just really struggle to actually get a resolution to any of the issues that you're actually having on a day-to-day basis. So we brought Ben into the Saledock way of working, where everything's in one place, it's talking to each other, you're not having to duplicate efforts across systems, and the results do speak for themselves. Like I said earlier, we are still in a cost of living crisis, so any reduction in running costs is massively welcome at this moment in time. And Ben saw a 35% reduction in software costs because he was going from 3 systems to 1. And we all know it's much more expensive to get new customers on board than to keep existing ones. So by improving the customer experience that he was offering, whether that be the seamless loyalties and rewards, or just making sure that his systems were consistently keeping things up to date, whether that be stock levels or pricings, he saw a 25% increase in repeat customers just from making those simple changes. And that is a huge boost because you're not having to reinvest in marketing to get new customers in. We're keeping the people who are already in the business, and we're keeping them keeping them buying, sorry, which is a massive one. And the time saved, I only spoke with him recently, and he said it's currently at around 8 hours a week that he was actually saving by automating and syncing his store and his website. If we just really step back and take that into consideration, and we look at national living wage in the UK of £12 an hour, you do that times by 8 to get your weekly amount. That's around £100 a week. Do that a month, that's £400 a week.
That pays for the
hidden costs.
software and then some.
Twice over. Yeah, exactly. So it's £400 in hidden costs saved every month on top of the software savings that we've already made him. So this huge return of investment.
Not to mention, sorry to interrupt, but not to mention the eliminating all that frustration too that he was dealing with, just dealing with so many different aspects of the business.
Exactly that, yeah.
Yep. Great case study. Okay, so we're going to switch gears a little here just to be mindful of time. Retailers don't like to change software, right? It's no secret. I'm not sure what the stat is currently today, but back a couple years ago, I think it was every 5 to 7 years is when retailers will look to change their point of sale or e-commerce software. I think it's not that long these days, but in some cases, I mean, we have some retailers who've been using our software for 20 years. So clearly, it's hard to change. And so when you do make that change, or when you look to make that change, it's really important to make sure that you're asking the right questions and you're really doing your due diligence, getting that demo and making sure that the platform and the partner that you choose is the right one for your business, because you don't want to have to do it again. So we're gonna walk through the evaluation process step by step, and then we'll look at some questions that, whether you're gonna talk to Saledock or you're gonna talk to another vendor out there, we just wanna make sure that you're asking the right questions and you have a better understanding of what you should be looking for. So the evaluation process step by step, I mean, you see everything listed here. The most important, the absolute most important is you need to yourself review your business and identify your needs, and most importantly, your current pain points. Now, this can sometimes be tricky because if you've operated the same way for so many years, you might have figured out how to live with your pain, but what are you wasting time on? Or let me say it even differently. What are you doing every day that you probably might not need to be doing, and you could be doing something much more productive, right? Even though you've done it the same way for all these years, if you can do it differently, what might that look like, right? So really reflect and really look at your business, look at your day-to-day and your staff's day-to-day, and figure out what are they doing that you probably could be doing differently. And Lewis, I loved when you equated it so eloquently to, this is how many hours, this is the current weight. When you do it in that way, you can very quickly start to see the ROI. All right, so research your list of potential vendors. As much as we would love, shameless plug, for you just to consider Saledock, as they are the preferred. We are the preferred point EPOS and e-commerce for BIRA. You need a short list, right? You don't want to just look at one vendor. You want to look at a couple of vendors. You want to compare. You want to get a demo. You want to ask questions. You want to find out about the implementation process and the training. You want to get to know the company that you're about to work with for the next probably 5 or 7 years. How's the conversation? Do they get back with you quickly? Do you have a good rapport? All of those things are really, really important because you're going to need to lean on this technology partner for the years to come. Ask very specific questions and get a demo. Make sure the system can do what you need it to do. But I will say this, you're changing software providers for a reason, and changing the way you operate is never easy. And sometimes you need to possibly consider even changing the way you're doing things and really leaning into that new technology and learning how to do it in a better way. So my biggest recommendation is not to go into a project wanting to do everything the same way you do it now. Because if you do that, you're going to have, it's going to be a little bit of a struggle. Go into it with an open mind and really lean on your technology partner to really sort of act as your consultant in a way. They're providing you software, they're selling you software, but they should also be giving you ideas and really helping you learn how to run your business better, because you don't know what you don't know. And if you're with the right technology partner, they're not just going to sell you a system. They're going to help you run your business better by leveraging their technology. So and of course, pricing, right? Pricing is really important because are they transparent? Is the pricing on the website? Are they telling you exactly what it's going to be, or is it going to creep up later? And support. You want to find out about technical support because no system's perfect. You're going to need help. Can you do live chat support? Can you call and get them on the telephone? Can you talk to an actual real life person? All of those factors are super, super important. All right, so Lewis, walk us through some of these pain points and some of the challenges.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of fear that starts from the outset of looking at a new system, and it's completely understandable. Of course, it is, because we're changing the way that we're working fundamentally. So there's a lot of worry about how complex that it might be. You know, how much time is it going to take us to implement? Whether staff are going to adapt to it quickly enough. There's always questions around data migration. You know, can we move our data? How long will we be down? Of course, costs and security are always top of mind. And again, these are completely normal concerns. In fact, we hear them every single day, don't we, Michelle? You know, it's not uncommon whatsoever. The good news is, with all of these challenges and all of these concerns, we've been through these transitions hundreds and hundreds of times over with retailers. We know how to make the process smooth, minimize downtime, and give you the confidence that nothing's going to fall through the cracks and nothing's going to drop off a cliff. So I think if there are any of these major concerns that you feel when you're speaking to ourselves or any other software provider, raise them straight away, because they'll let you know what they can do to help you with any of them.
Yeah, and I'll add one thing. You know, I've been here doing this for 20 years. Um, when you implement a new system, it's never as easy as we would all love it to be because it's a major, major change. But stick with it and get through it, and there's a light at the end of the tunnel is really the best way to say it, because once you get through the onboarding process and you're actually live and using this new system and starting to do things differently and saving all this time, the ROI is going to very quickly happen. And then very quickly, you're going to be just working at an entirely new pace. And your team, yourself, you can really revolutionize your business based on the technology stack that you're using. It
Definitely.
sometimes you got to kind of crawl before you walk, before you run, but it takes time to onboard. But once you do, you're going to be in a much better position.
And usually the grass is always greener on the better side, isn't it? So on the other side.
Yeah, yeah.
So
All
yeah,
right. So questions. Yeah,
a
go ahead, Lewis.
couple of questions you ought to be asking. I mean, it's really easy to get caught up in flashy features, which most people do when they're evaluating new software. They'll ask, oh, does it have this? Does it have that? But there's fundamentals that you need to be asking before you get into all the flashy stuff. So I think some of the main ones here, like it says, does it support both in-store and online? If it doesn't and it's disconnected, you're always going to be fighting stock inconsistencies, duplicate work, and frustrated customers, which is the last thing anybody wants. Can it handle cross-channel rewards? We've already been through the difficulty that customers and consumers have with trying to use those rewards across the board. So if it's not possible, loyalty and repeat customers are going to take a massive hit. Whether it can manage inventory across multiple locations. So this is really for anyone who's running multiple stores, maybe even a warehouse, or they might be doing pop-up events. Centralized stock control is an absolute must if you want to avoid things like overselling or missed sales opportunities. And this one's always a funny one. It's not the most exciting question to ask. You know, what happens if your internet connectivity goes down? but it's an important one because if you can't trade when your internet drops, then what are you going to do? You know, your business is useless, isn't it? And it's money that's just out the window. So they're the main ones fundamentally that I'd be asking.
And to add to that second one, cross-channel rewards, promotions, we didn't even talk about gift cards.
Yeah.
And when you're using disconnected systems, how do you manage those gift cards, right? You want to offer gift cards. You want to be able to have those be cross-channel so your customers can use them wherever they shop. And you don't want to limit where they can use them, or worse off, they use it in your store and then they go to your website in the parking lot and reuse it before everything syncs. So, you know, cross-channel everything, just really offering that cross-channel shopping experience is so important, you know, for consumers today.
And another one we missed, we did rewards, but we didn't do promotions. You know, if you've got a 10% off online and then you go in store expecting the same thing and it's not available, what's going to happen there? You know, there's an awkward conversation to be had at the till of why am I not getting the discount that I'd be getting online, or vice versa.
Yep.
And then we've done sort of the main fundamental ones. These ones are more about trust, usability, and sort of the ongoing success of the platform. So how secure is the system? It's not just a tick box. You're safeguarding customer data, your business reputation. So you need that compliance there to make sure that you've got good peace of mind in the platform that you're using. Having customizable reports. Every retailer measures success differently. So you need to be able to tailor how you're getting information out of the system, which is key. How easy is it to train staff? You know, if your team can't pick up something quickly, the adoption is going to be slow and it's going to be really inconsistent across the board. So the best systems should feel intuitive from day one. So staff actually enjoy using them and they just get a feel for them straight away, which is crucial. And the level of support that's on offer. Even with the best systems, questions are always going to be coming up. You know, you need to know that you've got a team behind you that are not only responsive, but they're knowledgeable with support, and that they go through a really thorough and proper onboarding process with you. So you know how to use the system from the get-go, because there's nothing worse than adopting new tech. Months down the line, your team still don't know how to use things, or they're reaching out to support and they're just not getting the answers that they need to get on with the job. So it means that you're left trying to figure things out alone, and that's the last thing you want when you're adopting any new technology.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we have about 8 minutes left. So we're going to use the rest of our time to just sort of go through a quick introduction of the Saledock system. And then, of course, we already have some questions coming through, so we'll save the last couple of minutes at the end to go through some of these questions.
Brilliant. So we've kind of got a gist of what an all-in-one system is going to be doing for us. All those typical challenges that we've talked about, the stock mismatches, the loyalty disconnect. It's not industry specific problems. They are everyday frustrations that are across the board for retailers that we're speaking to. So the beauty of an all-in-one system, and not necessarily Saledock, but Saledock being one of them, is that it resolves these issues by design. You're not having to do workarounds. You're not having separate logins, separate systems. You're not having to endlessly sync disconnected platforms. And everything it's speaking the same language in real time, which is crucial for the way that retail is adopting. And it just means that everything is seamless. And when everything's connected under one roof, you're not fixing problems. You're really creating a foundation for growth, if you will. And you're able to move faster, you're able to respond to customers quicker, and you can run your business without constant firefighting. So when we talk about managing all of the channels as one, this is what it actually means in practice. You know, you've got your store that's running your point of sale, it's running your products, it's running your inventory, and then that's all directly linked to the channels underneath. It's connecting to your online, it's connecting to your marketplace, your fulfillment, your click and collect, all these different bits and elements of your business that typically without an all-in-one system, you're going to have to manage independently. And it's going to take up so many hours and so much resource that can be put elsewhere in the business. Like Michelle said, you know, we've not really touched on the marketing side of things, but If we can take that resource away from managing disconnected platforms and put it into places that's going to help the business grow, it's a significant return for what you're asking.
Yeah, and one thing we didn't really touch on much here is specifically, in the back office section that you see there, which is the workshops and repairs and work orders. And Lewis and I are actually hosting another session later this week with our partner Bike Book. And if you're interested, please join us there as well. We can send you the link. But that session is going to be similar to this, but really focusing on specifically for, whether you're a bike merchant or any merchant who does repairs and work orders, again, having everything integrated in one system connected.
And it doesn't stop there either. We obviously, no retailer is working in a bubble, so we've already got tools that you might typically be relying on every day. For example, accounting systems you might be using like Xero, and payment providers, marketplaces, eBay and Amazon, for example. We've got all of those tools natively built into the system, so that again, it's taken away the hassle of you having to go to these independent platforms. Yeah, perfect. So you've got the likes of Royal Mail, Ship Theory, all these different payment providers there that are natively built in to reduce the amount of manual time we're having to spend to go off to the different places and do all these different processes. We're just bringing it into one place for you. So it's no more manual rekeying. There's no more mismatches between data. It's just a fully streamlined operation where every part of your business is working together.
Yeah, and everything is connected. And at the end of the day, all of that just saves you time. Whether it's credit card processing or it's fulfillment and shipping, it's all in one system.
Yeah.
All right, so perfect timing. We have 3 minutes left. So this is our last slide here. So for our BIRA members, we have an exclusive promotion to really help y'all get started. And we are offering 15% off of the SaaS software. That's every month. That's your SaaS software price moving forward, 15% off. And that's an exclusive offer because we really are working with BIRA to help the members get started and embracing a new technology. And, as the preferred ePOS and e-commerce provider together with BIRA, hence why we're doing this session, we really want to make it as easy as possible for members to get started. So we didn't show much of our software here. We really wanted this to be more educational. At the end of the day, whether you choose Saledock or another platform, we really wanted to help you all just have a better understanding of what you should be looking for and the questions to ask. If you want to see a demo or you would like to talk more one-on-one, you can reach out. Of course, Lewis's info is there. Lewis, I'm sure, is very eager to connect with you one-on-one. We've got 2 minutes left. We've had quite a few questions roll in, so I want to take the last couple of minutes to address them. If you do have a question, go ahead and pop it in the question in the question pane there on GoToWebinar on the right side. First question, Lewis, is for you. How much does the Saledock system cost?
That's always going to be one to consider, isn't it? Yeah.
It's always the first question.
It's always got to be the first question. Look, we're really transparent. Even if you go on the website, we've got all of our pricing laid out. If you're looking at standalone point of sale, which we do offer, you don't have to go with the completely unified solution. If it isn't going to be a good starting point for you, you can start to add these things on at a later point. Starts at £79 a month. If you then start to add in the e-commerce, which we call a unified solution, starts at £199 a month. So then from there, it can, of course, go up or down depending on the functionality, the features, the type of website build that you require. So we really do go through a full consultation with you to actually pinpoint a pricing. It's not just a generic cost sent over to you.
Okay. Next question is regarding training. What does the training look like? How long does it take? And are there additional fees?
No additional fees for training. It is all built into the monthly subscription for you. So with that, we provide full onboarding and training as standard. We do 2-hour-long sessions with our in-house support team. The first is getting you up and running on the point of sale and the back office. get all of your team involved. We go through all of the different processes to make sure you're comfortable in getting started. From there, we then, if you are doing e-commerce, do another session much like that, but dedicated to managing your website, how to upload products, all of that good stuff. Each of those sessions are then recorded and sent over to the team, to the retailer. So then if they get new starters or they just want a bit of a refresh, they can look back at that recording anytime they like. And they also get access to all of our help center documents and guides, tips and tricks, whatever they need. And of course, they can pick the phone up, they can live chat us, and they can email us whenever they like.
And no additional cost for that training, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, another question. I do almost all of the work at my store myself. One store, one till, no website. How long would it take someone like me to change systems?
If we're looking at moving from the till, just to till, we could have somebody up and running within 4 to 6 weeks. The reason being, we like to handle all of that data migration. Unless you're a tech wizard and you know how to do a load of data migration, moving from system to system,
Which is
we
not
handle
common,
all
by
of
the
that.
way.
It's not common whatsoever, no. And I wouldn't recommend anybody who hasn't done it before to try and do it because it can come up with a lot of complications. We handle all of that. So we can get you up and running within 4 to 6 weeks because we do all of that data migration on your behalf.
And we've got one last question, and it's actually about data migration. So the question is, I'm using an ePOS system for quite some time. What's the process to convert my data from my current system to the new platform?
Yep. So when we speak to you, we always ask you to send us your data first of all. So then we can get a real good glimpse of the quality of it, how it's looking, and we'll be very transparent on what we can and can't move across, just so we're setting the expectation from day dot. Once we've let you know what we can transfer, and usually it's we can get absolutely everything over for you, we go through that process, and that's our internal development team transferring all of your product information, your images, everything through an existing platform to Saledock. So we just keep it seamless.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Lewis. And we went 2 minutes over, so thank you everybody who stayed on. And thank
Same.
you, Lewis, for co-hosting with me. It was a
My
pleasure.
pleasure.
Hopefully everybody learned a little something. If you are interested in getting a one-on-one demo, just reach out, visit saledock.com. And again, I encourage everybody to take advantage of that 15% off for that BIRA. If you're a BIRA member, you get a nice discount. So thanks everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you all.